Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business here on this Monday edition. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. We will do the market watch, stocks we're paying attention to, and of course, all the local and national stories that you need to know here on this Monday. And big one here with a web outage happening. More and more of these are happening lately over the last week or so. Something nefarious might be going on out there, something to pay attention to at least. And now, with all that being said, let's get right into it with that market watch. We are on the continued government shutdown happening out there. No end in sight. I did see a story earlier today that did say that a couple people are starting to come out and say that they expect it to end, or it could end, is how they phrased it. Here this week, the government shutdown, but a lot of people betting that it goes on into November here coming up. But how's that affecting the market? Well, it's not affecting the market at all as it continues on. The Dow Jones right now is up 509 points, 46,745. S&P 500 is up 70 points right now to 6743. The Nasdaq's up 335 points to 23,014 is what the Nasdaq's at. Russell 2K even up huge for it, 40 points up for that small cap index, 2501 for the Russell 2K. Bitcoin rebounding a little bit here today. It was down the 106, 107,000 range over the weekend, coming back, getting that 110,000 level, 110,697 here on the day for Bitcoin. So good day, and lots of rallying happening around the stock market here as the government shutdown does continue. A lot of this is led by Apple out there, and Apple's going to be the first stock we're going to look at. Apple's up big in terms of where it's at normally, 4.24% for, that Magnificent 7 stock right here today. So Apple came out and they said the iPhone 17 series outsold the iPhone 16 series, not just in China, which is a big market for Apple, but also in the United States within its first 10 days of availability. So the two largest economies, and they outsold their basically their last year's model this year in that 10 days of selling it. So that all came out from Counterpoint Research putting this data out. Loop Capital came out after that news. They upgraded Apple to buy. It was at hold before. And everybody, when they do this, they cite something, and they're citing the better than expected iPhone 17 demand. So Apple kind of leading the market here to this rally that's happening here today. And look, that's good news because that iPhone sales last year struggled in that iPhone 16. A lot of people, me included, that did not buy last year's model. Now, just disappointment in the features that didn't come out with it. Well, there we go. And I'm going to be ordering the iPhone 17 later on today as well for me and my 17-year-old. So we're getting on board this bandwagon coming up as well. And then next up, we got Cleveland Cliffs out there. They do steel. Yes. They're up big today, 17.64% right now. They were up over 24% earlier in the day. Well, Cleveland Cliffs said they're exploring, they're exploring ways to move into and maybe expanding into rare earth mining. Their exact quote, according to the CEO in a statement, said, "We are working with a geologist to assess whether these deposits could become commercially viable." Cleveland Cliffs' third quarter results did top expectations. They did reach $143 million against the estimate there of $127.9 million. They said capital spending would be less than its prior forecast as well, so that would have driven the stock up. But now kind of the exploring whether to get into that rare earth mining is what's driving Cleveland Cliffs up 17.49% here today on this Monday. Then let's look at those rare earth stocks as well, right? First one we're going to look at, United States Antimony is what we're going to look at. They're up 12.24% right now. So this whole rare earth group stocks here, they all are trading higher today, 12.20% for this one. Bloomberg News came out and reported Australia's prime minister is actually planning to offer, well, Australia's research holdings to the American government coming up here as well. And why? Because China's moved to limit its rare earth exports to the United States. Australia saw a service, they hopped on it. Well, United States Antimony Corporation up that 12.02% right now. Then let's look at USA Rare Earth that we've talked about a lot here on the program lately as well. And that stock, if we have it, yeah, 12.12% right now for it as well. As it was over 8%, kind of came down a little bit and back up to that 12% here today. So Australia's prime minister saw an opportunity. Well, they hopped on it there, or at least planning to hop on it coming up. So rare earth stocks up today big as well. And when we come back later on and look at stocks here in our next market watch here on this Monday, AppLovin is a stock we're going to look at, or is my favorite way to call it, AppLovin. Yeah, they're a mobile technology software firm for advertisers, etc. For those you know, WW International, which is the parent company of Weight Watchers, making some moves today. Then a company called Archer Aviation. They make electric aircraft. In the news today as well, we'll talk about all of that coming up later on in the program in our next Market Watch. But first, well, let's get you caught up on what's happening around the national and local stories. Well, a lot of airline stuff, or at least flying stuff coming your way today. And first off, though, earlier today, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Amazon Web Services, that's that AWS you always hear about. They do cloud infrastructure, and they're the leader there in that market. They reported a major outage here early this morning, like 11 o'clock Eastern time this morning, roughly, is when it happened. And that took down numerous websites and also a lot of major ones out there. Many sites, though, did come back online within a few hours. Down Detector, which is a site that follows down sites, etc. Well, they said another spike in user reports came out around noon Eastern time for more outages, specifically Amazon, AWS, and Alexa, with a lot of the noon Eastern reporting of it happening again. Amazon said in a blog post Monday afternoon, just a little bit ago, an hour or two ago, that AWS customers were still experiencing an increased error rates when you try to launch new instances of their cloud service and the EC2 part of it. If you don't know what that is, because I didn't either, I looked it up. Thanks, AI. The AI is working, by the way. But it's a popular cloud service that it provides virtual server capacity there, that EC2. That seems to be where the problem's been, at least in this afternoon outage. The company, Amazon Web Services there, they also confirmed that the outage impacted Amazon.com, some of the subsidiaries, and also AWS customer support operations. Down Detector, if you looked at that, it showed users complaining and reporting problems at sites including Disney Plus, Lyft, McDonald's, New York Times, Reddit, Ring doorbells was having issues. Robinhood, Snapchat, and even United Airlines website, along with T-Mobile and Venmo, having those issues there. So, yeah, it's not just happening to those big company websites, the British government websites, gov.uk, and also saying they're having issues with their websites and everything as well. So, customs sites, in terms of customs, meaning government customs, right? Over there in the UK, well, they were experiencing issues as well earlier today. The Down Detector was reporting all of that. Haven't seen an update. Now, we're here at 11 o'clock here, our time, roughly, right? So that's 2 p.m. Eastern time. Haven't seen any updates on that latest one where it went back down again. But last week, we saw the major payment sites, right? Venmo, PayPal, etc., experiencing outages. So we're seeing more and more outages being reported over the last week or so, and something maybe to keep an eye on, because something is definitely afoot out there. Now let's get into some, government stuff here in the United States. And, we're dealing with tariffs. We got a coffee tariff story coming up, and then we know beef prices here in the United States continues to go up, and President Trump came out yesterday, and he said, Sunday, he said the United States, well, they're looking to purchase Argentinian beef. That's all in an attempt to bring down prices here for American consumers. Trump did promise earlier this week, or last week, I should say, to address the issue as part of his efforts to keep the inflation in check. U.S. beef, well, those prices have been stubbornly high for a variety of reasons. A lot of it, drought, not enough cattle in the United States able to keep up with it. And then, of course, reduce imports from Mexico, all that flesh eating pest there down there, the screwworm, as they call it, to the cattle herds down there. So, a lot of reasons why beef prices stay high. Trump, though, has been working to help Argentina bolster its collapsing currency over the last couple of weeks. President Trump floated last week a $20 billion credit swap line and also additional financing from sovereign funds and the private sector here coming up. And that's to try to help the president down there in Argentina. His midterm elections are coming up, and Argentina's having a lot of issues right now, and President Trump is a close ally there of the president of Argentina. So maybe some Argentinian beef coming up here to help out our beef prices as continue to have shortages and other demands here as well. And we all know, at least you coffee drinkers, and if you follow this show, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I know because I follow this show. Coffee prices are up. Coffee beans are up as well on the importing side, and we find out now, we got numbers here to back it up. Retail coffee prices jumped nearly 21% in August compared to the same time, well, August of last year, let's just say. And a lot of it is the Trump administration's tariffs, well, partially to blame for it. Not a lot of it, but a good amount of it is due to those tariffs. Back in July, Brazil was slapped with that one of the highest tariffs out there. That was at 50%. Vietnam has a 20% tariff, and even Colombia, 10% tariffs at that point. And as we've told you here reportedly at McCollum on Business, well, America imports more than 99% of its coffee, which means that it's all from those three countries. Most of it is. So that is why you're seeing your coffee prices go up. Most of it does come from Brazil, 30.7% of U.S. coffee imports. And this is all based off of net weights to get those percentages as well. Come from Brazil, 30.7%. Colombia, 18.3%. Vietnam, 6.6% of the coffee comes from those sides as well. So a large portion of it comes from those higher tariffed areas. The average price of regular coffee at restaurants in August, well, it was 10 cents more than the same time last year in August as well. That data comes for us from Toast. They're a restaurant management software provider. The increase did bring the average price of coffee in August to $3.52. Well, some relief may be on the way, though, because some legislatures are not happy about this price increase. Back in September, I should say, since we're in October right now, two representatives, one Republican from Nebraska, one Democratic rep from California, they actually introduced a bipartisan no coffee tax act in the Congress. They want to exempt coffee products from tariffs. I tried to look to see what the status of that is, and no update. Obviously, a government shutdown leads to that. Maybe some relief if they ever open the government up again and they take that up. But price hikes may cause some consumers to start brewing their coffee at home, less drinking out of the coffee to save some money and still getting the coffee. But a lot of times when that happens, a lot of people still go out occasionally and get their expensive coffee, a cup of Joe out there as well. So it'll be interesting to see, right? We have Dutch Brothers here in Arizona, moved their headquarters here. Starbucks trying to rebound. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with coffee prices and if people do cut back on it due to price. And was that go get the Folgers at home, right? Folgers in your home. Old commercials made you tear up to drink coffee. Honeywell, well, they're making some moves here as well. Their most visible divisions are the industrial technologies in airplanes and aerospace. Well, here we go, folks. Get your money ready. Check your seat cushions out there. Well, they recently published its 34th annual Global Business Aviation Outlook. Well, that estimates that there will be 8,500 new business jet deliveries worth $283 billion. It's the highest total in the 34-year history of the Aviation Outlook there by Honeywell. This will all be done over the next 10 years, according to them. An average annual growth rate, 3%. There will be a day. It's not a hard prediction to make. Remember how, like, when people first got cars, everybody was riding around on horses, and everybody started getting cars. Now everybody's doing Ubers and whatnot. Well, there's going to be a day where everybody's just going to have a plane sitting around, or at least access to a private plane that seats 10 or 8, and commercial aviation is kind of going to go by the wayside. I do believe that's coming, or less, at least less of it. Like, we still have buses today, so there'll still be some of those, but they'll, United American will be looked down on as people will travel more frequently on private planes, for instance. So now a lot of the credit for the demand on this growth, 3% growth, well, it's a combination of the recent economic growth, but it's also that's increasing demand for fractional ownership as obviously people make more money and more money. They want to go more on the fractional side, but also a steady cadence of new aircraft development and technology upgrades. That's helping to create that record level of demand here in what they call business aviation. So 20% of global operators surveyed in that report from Honeywell, they said they have at least one aircraft on firm order. That's up from 17% a year ago. One of the things that's changed, tax breaks, right? One of the reasons for the surge in purchase activity, well, the return to that 100% bonus depreciation that is now back on the books. That was after the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was signed into effect and put that tax credit back into a deal. This tax rule allows businesses to immediately write off the full cost of a large expense like an airplane. And so it can be written off in the year that they are put into use. So rather than doing it over, 5, 10, 15 years, you get all the write off in 1 year. So that's getting people to start buying airplanes again, just on that tax rule side of things. So there's private aviation's still doing well in terms of business aviation and new planes. And now, on the commercial side of things, Boeing is now allowed to produce 42 MAX jets per month. Well, that's up from the amount they could do before of 38. This is all after the safety inspectors from the government conducted extensive reviews of the Boeing's manufacturing lines to ensure an increase in production can be done safely, and they won't have issues like the door plugs falling off of an aircraft. Yes, this is all from the FAA, and the FAA had set a cap on production shortly after that January 2024 door plug falling out on that Alaska Airlines flight. Well, in practice, the production rate fell well below the ceiling last year because Boeing contended with those investigations, the machinist strike that happened up there, and all the idled factories for 8 weeks during that strike, not being able to get supplies up to build planes and severely being behind on building planes as well. But Boeing said over this summer, they said that they had reached the monthly cap in the second quarter. They would eventually seek the FAA's permission to start producing more of the 737 MAX planes. Well, they've got that approval now. The spokesperson for Boeing said on Friday that the company followed a disciplined process, is what they called it, to make sure it was ready to safely increase the production levels. They used safety guidelines and performance goals that it set with the FAA in conjunction with them. The FAA also said on Friday this won't change the way that it oversees Boeing's production processes and its efforts to strengthen the company's safety culture. So the FAA inspectors at Boeing, by the way, I did look this up. There was a government shutdown. Are FAA inspectors even working? Well, they are working. They have continued to work, even though the government is shut down as of October 1st. So they're following in line with it. The inspectors are working, I'm assuming for free, like everybody else out there, like the air traffic controllers and everybody. But Boeing getting that to accelerate, that's going to go a long way. One, Boeing's obviously, as they get more planes out, is going to help Boeing's bottom line. But it's going to help the airlines as well as they get more efficient planes, less gas guzzling planes as they get older out there, right? And we told you last week that Southwest Airlines, they had the new planes coming out with the new remodels inside. They're remodeling a lot of their fleet, but they also have a bunch of new ones on order with Boeing. So that'll help Southwest out. And the other thing, well, I don't know if this is going to help Southwest out, but we do have a new idea on how they're shifting to that assigned seating starting January 27th coming up. So this is a new boarding system that we have out there, and this was put on the Southwest airline site on how they're going to do it. It's known internally as Project USA around Southwest. It's actually been testing for several months in Houston and Cancun, Mexico. So if you've flown Southwest there, maybe you've experienced the new boarding procedures. So they're going to use the Wilma boarding method. So basically, if you have a window seat, you will board first, then those in the middle seats, and obviously the aisle seats will board last as well. Then it'll start at the back of the plane and move forward, is how they're going to do their boarding. The Wall Street Journal gives us this report as well. So more info on it, hit up the Wall Street Journal. Southwest is also scrapping its current numbered sanctioned at the gates with 9 boarding groups. Yeah, no more is it going to be A1, A2, or A1, excuse me, A1 to what? Is it A1 to A30, and then 30 to 60, whatever that is. Yeah, gates are now going to feature just 2 lanes to board the plane. One's going to be for the group boarding, and one will be for the group boarding next, instead of a bunch of people lining up. Well, travelers, including frequent flyers and credit card holders with boarding benefits, well, those, but then if you buy the premium seats out there, right, things like extra leg room, those premium seats, well, you'll automatically be assigned to the early boarding groups. The airline's also introducing a last minute priority boarding option. Well, of course, if you want to pay for it, and that pricing will vary by the flight, how full it is. Basic economy passengers will typically board last. There's no shocker there if you've flown before. Yeah, if you're just a basic flyer, no frills, yeah, you're in the back. You're in steerage is what you're going to be dealing with at that point. Southwest is launching redesigned boarding passes also. They will display not only the seat numbers, but whether it's a window, middle, or aisle seat. So you'll be able to read it and not guess and try to board too early out there. But so that's how Southwest is going to do their numbered boarding or their seat boarding stuff. So there you go, folks. Little information on Southwest coming up because that's coming quickly. Obviously after the holiday season, but if you're booking planes now after January 27th, you're having to deal with choosing those seats with the extra leg room and the amenities and premium options that you can buy now. And when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling. We're going to talk about a little bit about they did what at the Louvre yesterday? What? Yeesh. TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, celebrating a big move with NVIDIA here last week. We'll talk about that here in the Valley and so much more. Come on back. It's McCollum on Business. And we're back here at McCollum on Business. Appreciate you joining me for this Monday edition. Of course, earlier today, we got the main event in the can. Use a industry term there. It's up now. It's going to be up on YouTube, the free YouTube page. Check that out, of course, on the free podcasting system as well. Me and 17-year NFL veteran Del Hillestray. Well, we talk a lot of Cardinals on the weekend, of high school football as well, and in the first hour, then Cardinals and ASU there in the second hour. As Just a eventful weekend there, and a lot of, quite frankly, criticism of the Arizona Cardinals out there. And if you want to see that on demand at Robat TV on the free YouTube page and the free podcast system as well out there, check it out now. And then, of course, this show, as soon as we're done here, well, we'll put it up on the free YouTube page as well. So check that out as well as Robat TV. And then we move on to the pit stop here today, where we'll look back at the racing at Talladega over the weekend. Some fun, some excitement, some people running out of gas there at Talladega yesterday, and kind of a surprise winner, at least in the Cup Series over the weekend. Throws the playoffs kind of into confusion here as we're headed into the final race, the cut-down race here this weekend at Martinsville for this. So we'll look back at the racing at Talladega here today. Later in the week, we'll look ahead to the cutting races of the playoffs, and everybody will have their championship 4 after this weekend coming up as well. That's coming up later today, live on demand on Robat TV, on demand on the free YouTube page, as well as the podcast systems coming up as well. The Real Matrix, the first 4 episodes are up, folks. The ratings are fantastic for this show. As the first 4 episodes here on demand at Robat TV, just go to the channels and click on it, just like you do the other shows. You'll see the first 4 posted. Of course, it has a free podcast as well on Podbean. Right now, just search The Real Matrix on Podbean, and it comes right up. Also on the YouTube page as well, free on demand for you. For those of you that like that type of programming, the Angry Patriot gets you all set up on kind of what the government's doing and trying to open your eyes there, and his thoughts on what's happening around the government. If you like that, it's there for you. And those are the shows that our production company here does around Robat TV. We appreciate you joining us and everything. And now we're looking to expand, obviously, other shows that do that want to get into it. So whatever you're into, any thoughts that you have, you want to do a show, whether it's monthly, weekly, once every 6 months, folks, we got the setup for you. We can help you out with it, produce it out there. If you just want to do podcasts, just voice only, we obviously have that set up here as well. So definitely come on board and help us out and do a show here. And we'd love to work with you and get your vision out there as well. And with all that being said, let's get right back into that Market Watch. Everything is up big today, and it just kind of in that same big area as it was before, right? The Dow Jones fell below 500 here. It's only 493 points up right now. The S&P 500 is up 67. The Nasdaq's up 338 right now for the Nasdaq as well. Well, that small cap index, the Russell 2K, 40 points up for it here on this Monday. So good rallying day with all these stocks up. Even Bitcoin, well, it's not. I'm not going to say it's rebounding because it's still well below what it was trading at a couple weeks ago, but it is back up to the 110,000 range, 110,824 for Bitcoin today. And the first stock we're going to look to here, as we are finishing up our look at the Market Watch here on this Monday, AppLovin is the first one we're going to look at. You know, they do software, mobile technology software. It's for advertisers, app developers. Well, it's down 3.04% here today. The New York Post came out in an article this morning, and they said AppLovin was again in regulatory scrutiny. And why? Well, it's because of how they handle the customer data that they are entitled to and what they get from their consumers. Yes. Again, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, this stock tanked, and that time as well. Because back then, Bloomberg reported that it was under investigation by the Security and Exchange Commission for its data collection practices. Are these the same issue? Two different agencies? Or is this the same issue is kind of the question. Same issue or 2 different issues? For AppLovin, we don't know, but we do know they're down 2.99% today with more news of mishandling consumer data for AppLovin. Next up, we got WW International. Yeah, this is the owner, the parent company of Weight Watchers, folks. Up 9.27% right now for them. Don't forget, it was up over 12% as you see on the graph there in front of you. But don't forget, they filed for bankruptcy back in May. Well, why are they up so much today based off of news? Well, they announced a partnership with Amazon, of all places. Weight Watchers is working with Amazon. They want to deliver medications, including those injectable GLP-1 medication for obesity treatments. Yeah, they want to send it directly to Weight Watchers. and Amazon consumers as well. So 9.27% up based off of this announced deal between Weight Watchers and Amazon. Next up, we got Archer Aviation. Electric aircraft maker is what this company is. They're up 5.16% here today on the news. They signed agreement with Korean Air. Why? Well, they want to commercialize its Midnight eVTOL. Those are those airplanes, those helicopter kind of deals. Now they want to make a commercialized one. This is that electric vertical takeoff that we've showed you before as well. But they want to do it, and they have a deal with Korean Air to do this in Korea. Well, so this deal includes the purchase of up to 100 Midnight aircraft by Korean Air. And that's why they're up 5.16% here today for Archer Aviation. And I mean, these deals are big and everything, but the technology hasn't even really been approved yet out there. So it is amazing they're making these deals, and wonder what kind of outs there are in them, expectation levels, etc. for these guys. But Archer Aviation continuing to grow that side of the business without actually having anything to give anybody officially as of right now. Now, let's talk a little bit about, it's like out of the movies here. How many times have we seen a movie where a big art thief goes in and steals a painting or jewels? Well, actually happened yesterday. And the thieves who did go in and rob the Louvre Museum over there in Paris, well, they stole priceless jewelry. And the amazing thing about this, obviously, it was a very put together theft here, but they did it in broad daylight of all things. Yes. Now, they're saying today that they may have been hired by a private collector, is what officials are officially saying about it. The Paris prosecutor that's kind of overseeing this told local media there in Paris that investigators believe the robbers, and by the way, broad daylight, but 7 minutes to go in and get these jewels out and get out, and they escape by scooters, which I kind of find funny. It kind of makes me giggle a little bit. But they say they might have been commissioned by a collector or, a private collector out there, or they could have been purely motivated because of the value of the jewels and the precious metals that they took out there. So, and I get all this from Reuters, by the way, but I mean, the thing about this is you steal these jewels, you can't sell them to just anybody. It's got to be a private collector out there. You can't just hawk them, down the road. They're going to get found. So they kind of have hope that it is a collector that did commission the heist. Well, because there's hope that with the collector getting it, they'll want to take care of them. So that means the stolen pieces will remain intact and well preserved until they're able to find them whenever that is out there. If it's just they stole it for the money, for drug stuff, etc., well, they could get broken up and damaged and things like that. So they're actually hoping a collector, commissioned this heap as well. So, and interesting perspectives here on this jewel theft there in Paris as well. So, yeah, investigators are keeping their leads open, but they did rule out foreign interference in terms of that any nation state was involved in this theft of those jewels. 7 minutes, broad daylight, got off in scooters. Literally like a movie at that point out there. Now let's come back here to our shoreline and the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That's the NHTSA. They came out this morning and they said they've opened a preliminary probe into about 2,000 Waymos. Those are those self-driving autonomous vehicles. Yes, reports are that the company's robo-taxis may have failed to follow traffic safety laws around something kind of specific that you need to follow it around, right? And that's school buses specifically. So the probe is the latest federal review of the Waymo and other self-driving systems. Regulators are scrutinizing like crazy how driverless technologies interact with pedestrians, cyclists, other road users, but also these types of railroad crossings, buses, to make sure that they are following the safety side. NHTSA said the Office of Defects Investigation is what it's called. They opened the review after flagging a media report describing an incident in which a Waymo autonomous vehicle did not remain stationary when it approached a school bus with its red lights flashing. The stop arm was deployed on the bus as well. as well. And the crossing control arm was also extended in that reporting. So they saw it, they flagged it to look into it. Now we got this investigation. The report did say that Waymo vehicle initially stopped beside the bus, then it maneuvered around the front of the bus, passing the extended stop arm and then and the crossing control arm. And this was when students were disembarking from the bus at that time. A Waymo spokesperson said the company has already developed and implemented improvements related to stopping for school buses. They said they will land additional software updates in their next software release to help out with that as well. The Waymo did add that driving safely around children has always been one of Waymo's highest priorities. In the event referenced, the vehicle approached the school bus from an angle where the flashing lights and stop sign were not visible to the car, and it drove slowly around the front of the bus before driving past it. And so it did. They did say it kept a safe distance from the children, but the whole point of stopping on a school bus is children can dart out in front of a bus at any time, and that's why you have to start. Incidentally enough, I was driving in some traffic last week. We're in downtown Phoenix, and I was headed home, and there was some construction, and there was a Waymo that had no idea what to do. It was good. There was a policeman flagging and waving you on and stuff, and he kept pointing at the Waymo and waving at it. Just sat there. I don't know whatever happened. The people inside that Waymo are probably still sitting there, to be honest with you. I don't know what happened with them because I drove off, but so they do struggle in some of that stuff still. And now we got the information here. We got at the end of last week that the city of Glendale spent about $500,000 related to that memorial service that happened for Charlie Kirk's memorial service. That memorial, if you remember, drew 100,000 mourners or so, or people, to State Farm Stadium. And then the overflow was the Desert Diamond Arena right across the street. It was where the overflow was for that area as well. So the deputy city manager of Glendale, Rick St. John, he assures the city will be reimbursed for its expenses, and it's going to come from the Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority. They own State Farm Stadium. And then ASM Global, they're actually the venue management company of both Cardinal Stadium and Desert Diamond Arena over there. So they said that the money, that $500,000 charges there, they went towards several public safety elements, police, fire that they had to have out there, those city elements. So the way it works, I saw a lot of people over the weekend say, oh, they stiffed them. No, the Turning Point USA, the company there, actually paid rent for the stadium off of that. They paid that bill from what I've been told. And then that is the money that now goes to the other public safety elements, et cetera, out there from the company. So that's just what Glendale spent out for the public service side, fire trucks, police, et cetera. And this happens all the time. For football games, this is how it works. The Arizona Cardinals pay the rent on the building, and then the management company pays it out to the city off of their billing as well. So nothing nefarious on this at all, as like some people like to say, at least as of right now. And now let's talk a little bit about domestic semiconductor manufacturing, because we're right here in the heart of it here in Phoenix, here at least in the United States. And, we did mark here in Phoenix a major milestone here in that domestic semiconductor manufacturing. Yes, on Friday, something big happened, at least according to NVIDIA and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Co. That's that TSMC up there at I-17 in the Loop 303. Well, both companies got together up there at that fabrication facility. Well, they celebrated the completion of the first U.S.-made Blackwell wafer. This is a big deal for people in this industry, folks, and in artificial intelligence worlds also. The event, well, it underscored a deepening partnership between NVIDIA and TSMC, and they both say will help position the U.S. as a global leader in AI through that advanced chip manufacturing here coming up. Because the Blackwell chip is an advanced chip. It's very hard to make. So its successful one seems to be very celebrated. So the NVIDIA Blackwell super chips, well, they're made at TSMC's factory complex up there in Phoenix. Amkor and SPIL, they're going to partner with NVIDIA to package and test those chips once they're made. Again, Amkor, big plant being built up there in Peoria. So not too far those chips will have to go to be packaged and tested. So if you want to know, NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs, well, they're the world's leading AI processors. The systems are built around them are the first AI supercomputers designed specifically for reasoning on these AI side of things. So they're going to be able to operate quickly, and reasoning is what we all want. Computers that can reason with us. What could go wrong? I've seen way too many Terminator movies. So, to support this technological advancement, NVIDIA plans to produce $500 billion in AI infrastructure across the U.S. over the next 4 years. They're going to partner with TSMC, Foxconn, Wilson, Amkor, Spill, and other major tech firms that manufacture components for AI and the supercomputers that come out of it. And we know a lot of that investment's happening here in Phoenix and other parts of the country here from NVIDIA and of course, MC as well. So the first Blackwell chips are out. It's going to be a big deal that these chips are being made here specifically because there's going to be a lot of them sold and a lot of them made until the next technological chip comes out here probably a year or two down the line as that technology just advances and advances and advances. And one thing I know for sure here, well, we're at the end of the show here. McCollum on Business on this Monday. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday. We have some stuff being done around here on Tuesdays. It tends to be when that happens. I believe it's happening tomorrow. If we're not on at 11 o'clock, we'll be on around noon tomorrow. McCollum on Business. So make sure you come and join us here. Of course, at 11 o'clock, on demand, Robat TV, on demand at YouTube as well. Pit Stop will be on demand at Robat TV and on Pit Stop or on YouTube later on today as well. Check that out for the Look Back show. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock. It's McCollum on Business.